page 35. Okay. Section 2, Articles of Confederation and the basics of the Constitution. Doesn't sound like much, but it is. Okay, so the first Constitution was the Articles of Confederation. I actually have the full text of the Articles of Confederation. This slide is flickering. I have the full text in there. You guys can read that if you want. I'm going to go over in notes the basics of the Articles of Confederation. You know what historians mostly focus on with that Constitution is the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation because it didn't work for us. So that being said, we're going to look into why it wasn't working and some of the problems that were occurring from 1781 through 1787 when they said, you know what, we need to fix it. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the things that happened, like Shays' Rebellion. Okay, we're going to look at what some of the founders were saying. George Washington was scared that this whole thing was going to fall flat on its face. Okay, the country was in debt. We were fighting amongst each other. It was not good. So then they say, let's have another constitutional convention or a convention of the states to revise the articles, to fix it. And once they got started, guys, they said, no, we just need to scrap that Constitution, start over. So what did they do? They went from a confederal system where all the power was at the state and local level. The national government was very small. Remember, we talked about this. And they switched to a federal system of government where they share or divide powers between national, state, and local. The boxes are all the same size, correct? You remember that? Thank you for some affirmation there. Okay, now, so for 3 months, 55 men will go back to Philadelphia to write a new constitution. So obviously, we're going to learn about James Madison again. We're going to learn about Alexander Hamilton. Jefferson's in France. John Adams is in Britain. Okay, Franklin's kind of doing whatever he wants, but he comes back for the convention. Yes, he's still alive. Okay, George Washington shows up for this thing. Okay, so we'll talk about the Constitutional Convention in pretty good detail, and also watch another video on that. Okay, I showed you the video Rebels with a Cause. We'll watch a video called A Healthy Constitution. Okay. Now, once they agree on the new Constitution, they got to get it ratified by 9 of the 13 states. So you're going to have 2 camps here, which really turn out to be the first 2 political parties. How's that? Somebody's going to go into frickin' seizures in here. All right. 2 camps. Your Federalists and your Anti-Federalists. You guys know about this? We'll dive into the Federalist Papers a little bit. Okay, some of the more important ones. We'll have a reading night and a discussion day on those. Okay, so you can look forward to that next week. Okay, maybe next week. And then, guys, the basics of the Constitution. How many articles are there in the Constitution? 7. The first 3 are the branches. The 4th is very important. 5th is very important. 6th and 7th, not as important, but important. Okay, so we'll break down the 7 articles of the Constitution. Then we've had 27 changes to it. First 10, of course, being the Bill of Rights. Right? So we got to learn those amendments. All 27 of them. Then there'll be an assignment with that for 27 big ones. Okay? And then I'm going to do 2 days on federalism. Now, in regular government, I do a whole chapter on federalism, but it's something I'm very passionate about. We'll do it in 2 days, okay? And there's a homework assignment on that worth 15 points. Okay? So, if you don't do very good on your essay, for the first part of the test, There's opportunity. Opportunity, okay? And then just a little bit on checks and balances. Guys, you know checks and balances probably more than you realize. Some of it maybe you haven't been exposed to, but everybody knows if Congress passes a law, who can veto it? And Congress can override that veto with what kind of majority in both houses? 2/3 in both houses. If the president picks a federal judge, who must approve it? The Senate, okay? If the president wants to do a treaty with a bunch of nations, who has to approve it? The Senate. With what majority? 2/3, okay? The Congress, the House can impeach the president. The Senate can convict the president. The House can impeach judges, federal judges, and the Senate can convict federal judges, okay? If there's no majority in the Electoral College, who elects the president? The House. That's another check, okay? So you know most of these, okay? If the president does something that violates the Constitution, who can check it? Who can tell him that he's breaking the Constitution? The Supreme Court. Just like they do with the laws, yes? Presidential actions and laws by Congress can be deemed unconstitutional. Where do we get that from? Judicial review. What court case do we get that from? Marbury versus Madison. What year?
1607.
Stop.
1783. 1784.
Go. 1803.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, a lot of material. Okay. Not a ton of notes. A lot of material. Okay. And I've got kind of a fun exercise to do the amendments with. Okay. And I've got some great mnemonic devices to help you memorize the amendments. Okay. So these are all fun things that we have looked forward to. Okay. Good. Are you ready for a 4-day weekend?
Yes.
Where you gotta go?